everyone, Draco Magnius here once again for another lesson in Wizardry. Today we'll be going over the new spells we got from Her Majesty the Cowlipha. We'll be going over Moltaan, Guardian of Old Smoky finally, going over Castaway Cove, some other locations, and end our lesson off with some Alchemy. But first, as is the norm, we're going to start with the spells, starting with Nature's Tongue. Converse freely with both flora and fauna. Many are the times when men and women wish that they could talk with the plants and animals which share their lives. Wizards, meanwhile, know that wishing is an inefficient technique, and choose instead to cast Nature's Tongue. It allows you to glean from the living world the kind of information that is quite beyond the reach of the ordinary human. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I will be showing you how to draw this rune so that you too can converse with the plants and animals that share your lives.
Alright, before we get started, I just want to make this clear. I'm hoping it actually goes through. I turned up the volume on the television so that the audio from the game will be in these now. So it's not just, here's audio when I'm going over the runes, now blank noise and just me. I wanted to make it so you could hear both me and the music of the game, because it's very good music, and it's important to the lesson, so you know where I am. But I digress. Let's get started on drawing this rune, shall we? Okay, so I guess the best way to portray this rune would maybe be... perhaps a duck is the best way to describe it. You're going to draw the duck's head, and then you followed up by drawing his open beak, because you're talking to the duck. So one more time. The duck's head, and its beak. And now fast. Alright, and we are ready to move on to the next and final spell of this current lesson. I'll see you in just a moment.
And our final spell for the day is Burden. Add extra heft to a particular object or person. Burden is an incomparably versatile spell that simply increases the weight of its target. Render a creature incapable of movement or attack, crush an object or unsuspecting enemy, or penetrate armor using supernaturally heavy pins. The possibilities are endless, and always having a range of options is the mark of a fine wizard. As the passage does mention, you can use this in battle. I personally haven't used it all that much in battle, so when I show it off in the actual Let's Play proper, we'll be seeing it together. But now I'll show you how to draw this rune so you can use it to make some supernaturally heavy pins, or make someone think they're a lot fatter than they actually are.
Now, for Burden, you're going to want to start by... let's get that a little more on screen. There we go. You're going to start by drawing a downward arrow. Then stop before you connect it and strike through. Is that a little too high? We'll do it again, just to be sure. This time slower. You're going to, as I said, draw the arrow, stop before you connect, go a little further down, and across. That's better. Down arrow, across. And now fast. Alright, and that does it for spells, ladies and gentlemen. Now we move on to Moltaan and his information. I will see you in just a moment.
Legendary Beasts number 7, the Guardian of Old Smoky, a giant greater than a mountain. I don't know, he didn't really seem that big to me, but, I mean, I would know better than the book, I feel, because I've actually seen it, but I digress. Legend has it that a gargantuan, fire-breathing monster prowls the summit of Old Smoky. Obtaining accurate information about this beast is made difficult by its inhospitable habitat. Reaching the top of Old Smoky involves countless perils, and is not for the faint of heart. So, just a little quick note I thought to mention. What I find exceptionally strange is that Moltaan is in the flora section. Doesn't really look like a plant to me, but, I mean, what do I know? I just saw him and fought him. But yeah, he's in flora, but I'm getting a little off topic. Let's move on to his actual entry in the book now. Alright, and here we have Moltaan. I'll let the animations run as per usual. No, I think it's raining outside. And I don't know if that's getting picked up in the recording or not. Maybe there's a leak, because it sounds like there's like a single drop coming down, too. Weird. Anyway, back to the animations we're seeing. Really? Flora? I mean, personally, I'd put him in Draconis if I was doing classifications, but again, what do I know? Just a wizard here who actually fought him. But I believe that was all of his animation, so now we go down. A fiery brute believed to be the guardian of the volcano, known as Old Smoky. The mere sight of its colossal, blazing body is enough to put enemies into flight. Its still more terrifying roar, meanwhile, causes the earth to crack open and release red-hot magma beneath. Unsurprisingly, being a fire-based monster, he is resistant to fire and weak to water, as we all too well know. His sign is unknown, and of course he's found on Old Smoky. He drops the Spirit of the Flame, and his notable attack is... The beast sunders the earth, causing pillars of flames to rise up and scorch all nearby enemies. But now that we've finished covering Moltaan, I'll get you some information on Castaway Cove. Alright, and now some information about Castaway Cove. Before we get started, we have 3 pages to cover in this section about the world, so it's not too little but not too much. But without further ado, let's jump right in. Village of maritime merchants and fearless fishermen. Castaway Cove is part of the Mamooni Empire, and is known as the hub of the world's Babana trade. It is also home to fishermen who use unique vessels known as flying boats. First-time visitors often find the hustle and bustle somewhat intimidating, to say nothing of the dress code. But most end up not wanting to leave. Essential information about Castaway Cove. The climate is hot and humid, but with a pleasant sea breeze. The local delicacies are dumb flounders and glow shrimps, both of which can be found at the merchant at the entrance of town. Local character is rough and ready, but kind-hearted. The local sport is flying boat racing. But now we move on to the merchants and their wares. The street peddlers of Castaway Cove are world-renowned, and their stalls are a good place to find both unexpected treasures and utter tat. It is up to you to tell the difference. Alright, but without further ado, we move on to our next page. Before we move on to our very next section, I wanted to bring special attention to this. On this section of the book, you'll notice that it has the world in the center and all of the areas around it, that's pretty self-explanatory. But the thing I wanted to bring attention to, that the section we're going to is actually called the Spring Realm. Even though technically there's no name for that particular region. I mean, I guess there is, because it's right there, but my point remains valid. You have the Summerlands, Autumnia, the Winter Isles, Tahiti. But this is really the first instance of anyone bringing up the Spring Realm. No one actually mentions that it is that, if that's even what they call it. But now, I digress, for we move on to the Other World, Teaching for Aspiring Wizards number 17. Another world about which little is known. The world you see before you is not the only world in existence. There is at least one more, but since only wizards have mastered the Gateway spell are able to visit it, not many people have been there. Some lucky individuals have somehow managed to visit without performing magic, however, and have even returned to tell the tale. All of these people talk of strange things they've seen, the clothes in particular. One person even brought back a pair of spectacles that were pitch black. No one has yet to ascertain what purpose they're supposed to serve. Others claim to have witnessed young men applying strange gelatinous substance to their hair, making their heads look somewhat similar to the posterior of creatures of the Aves genus. A few apparently used the same substance to make their hair stand on end, as though they had been struck by a bolt of lightning. These stylings would appear to serve no practical purpose, though many visitors observe that the coiffured men enjoyed the more attention from their female counterparts. Some have also reported seeing people who look exactly like themselves. About 20 years ago, the governor of Castaway Cove wrote in his travel journal that he had seen an enormous snake in the other world, puffing clouds of smoke and running along strange metal path. Still more disconcerting was the fact that the snake seemed to have swallowed a belly full of people, one of whom looked exactly like the governor. The governor naturally assumed he was hallucinating and concluded that he must be ill, though he was in fact entirely healthy and is still going strong to this day. Interesting. We get to see how people of this world, Drippy's world, see Oliver's world when they don't know much about it. Clearly that was a train that he saw running on the train tracks, but to them it's a giant snake that ate a bunch of people. But now, we move on to our next entry over here. Oh, that's weird. It looks like the page is moving behind it. Weird. Anyway, the Lost Continent. Somewhere in the world, there's said to be an inaccessible landmass, one that is shrouded in a deep fog and thick cloud. Legends claim that this land was once home to the highly prosperous civilization. Though such rumors have never been confirmed, no one actually knows how to get to the place, though some claim the fog clears one day a year, allowing one to sail toward it. Others say that the eye of the storm will sometimes cast hapless sailors upon its shores. It must be emphasized, however, that these are only rumors. Curious wizards should use their initiative and think of their own methods of clearing away the fog, rather than relying on such second-hand hearsay. Now, I'm not 100% sure, but it looked like maybe I could zoom into this and something would appear. Nope. Not at all. Alright then, we move on to our next section. We're going to end the lesson off with Alchemy. Chapter 2, Alchemy. Bubble, bubble, broil and blend. Alchemy, a wizard's friend. Alright, now let's begin covering alchemy, something we have yet to touch on because we didn't have a cauldron until recently. What is alchemy? Alchemy is one of the main pillars of wizardry. To the uninitiated, it appears to involve nothing more than mixing ingredients in a pot. To the aspiring wizard, however, it is an art unrivaled in its depth and complexity. With the necessary knowledge and materials, a wizard can blend items blessed with near boundless magical power. Alchemy can provide you with more than just simple provisions. It can be used to conjure up great swords, shields, and even objects unknown to this world. There are, after all, an infinite number of possible formulae. Note also that true masters take great pride in devising their own formulae, something an aspiring young wizard would do well to attempt. Cauldrons and genies. No alchemy can take place without a cauldron. Cauldrons can only be opened by wizards, and many only be used for alchemical purposes. Be sure to treat your cauldron with the respect it deserves. Every cauldron has its own resident genie, and it is the genie who decides whether or not a wizard is worthy of owning that cauldron. Should you happen upon a curious pot, be sure to take a look inside. It may well be a cauldron left over from the Age of Sages. If you have difficulty removing the lid, try saying the magic words. Open Sesame! Alright, doing well. Still have one last section to cover here, and then I'll show you the actual recipes section of our book. Using your cauldron. Once you've acquired a cauldron, it will be time for you to take your first tentative steps into the realm of alchemy. Though you will no doubt be eager to create your own formulae, it is better to stick to a proven combination at first. Remember that some formulae are more demanding than others. Some require ingredients that only grow in far-flung corners of the world. Note that making tiny adjustments to formulae can provide widely different results. And experimenting in this manner offers a glimpse at the incredible depth that the world of alchemy can provide. The image below is around 150 years old, and it shows a group of wizards attempting to create a rain potion. It is said that the cauldron was stirred for 13 full days before the potion was finally produced. Some claim that there are no limits to what can be created using alchemy, asserting that with a sufficiently large cauldron, any wizard can create a castle or palace for themselves. Please note, however, that these claims are unproven at the time of going to print. And here is our picture of the three wizards making their rain potion. And at the very bottom, we have a step-by-step process for your creation of alchemic creation. You know what I mean. Fumble, but I'm still going to stick with it. Select a formula. Prepare the materials as specified in the formula. Make sure that none of the materials have perished or dried out. Carefully following the steps listed in the formulae, place the materials into the cauldron and begin stirring. Widdershins, of course. Stirring widdershins? Beg pardon? and begin stirring widdershins, of course. Not sure what that means exactly. But I've done alchemy before, so I've already proven I can do it, even if I don't know what a widdershin is. It is vital at this stage to visualize the object that you are trying to create. Okay, now there are a few things I want to show in the alchemy section before we end the episode. First and foremost, I wanted to show you basically how it's laid out in the book. You have your formula, the champion sword, what materials you need, and what quantity you need them right here in your book if you have the formula available. You will notice any formula that we do not have has missing written in Nausicaan on it. So there are some things that you don't have, unless like me you have the physical book, then you have everything that would be in this section. Which, good for me, and for you it's not great, but logic would dictate if it is missing, you're probably going to find the formula at some point, or maybe you'll just... Actually, you know, now that I think about it, I don't know if doing a formula in here allows it to pop up in my book or not, or if I actually have to get the formula. Well, there is a way to find out. I don't have the recipe for milk chocolate, do I? But I've made a bunch of them. Let's see, where's provisions? Provisions... Ah, here we are. Oh, well, what do you know? Milk chocolate. Oh, I actually do have all the recipes for... Oh, that's interesting. I have the recipes for them in here, but if I were to go to my actual Wizard's Companion... Like, well, not my Wizard's Companion. If I were to go into my Alchemy Cauldron, it wouldn't actually allow me to look these up. It's very interesting. That means you can have them written in here, but not have the recipe, which means these missing ones are probably recipes that you have to find for yourself. Or maybe some of them you actually do get handed to you. Very interesting. Very interesting. Oh, I could cover these now. I'm not going to cover that now, actually. I was thinking about something that I was going to cover in the next actual episode, but we're not going to do that. We're going to move to the very end of this book. As you can see, there is a section for original formulae that you come up with yourself. If my hypothesis is correct and those missing portions get revealed as soon as you know, find the recipes, or if you just happen to, like, pop and find one, then this section is kind of useless. It's still kind of useless in-game, however, because there's no way to actually access this page to write things down, unfortunately. Or at the very least, not in a way I can see. If, like I do, you have a physical book, you could write in there, but you can't actually write in the video game's book, so I don't know what to tell you if you wanted to write original formulae down here. You're gonna have to get you'll have to do it the old-fashioned way, I suppose. Get a good old sheet of paper, a pen or pencil, and write down formulae that you discover on your own or that you look up online. I won't judge you if you use the later, but, you know, you're supposed to just find them. But hey, if you want to look online for all the formulae that exist and write them in here, I'm not going to stop you. But with that, we are going to end our lesson here. I will see you all in the next one. And remember to study hard.